Welcome back, listeners, to The Brighter Side of Blue, a worldwide podcast. Coming to you live from Barney's Sports Pub in South St. Louis. I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
It's an epic episode. It's our 21st episode. I'm told by our young single producer, stud muffin Jack, that us having a 21st episode and the amount of followers and views puts us in the top 1% of all podcasts in the country.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Jack, can you explain that, please? It's way over my head.
In the world. In the world.
Oh, in the world?
In the world, yep.
Okay, tell us, because I think it's bullshit. But go ahead.
Hey, most podcasts, they give up after 20 episodes or before. So if you make it to more than 20 episodes, you're automatically in the 1%.
This is our last episode, though.
We made it.
We did it.
We did it. See
We
ya.
did it.
Thanks for
We're
coming.
out.
Buy a pizza and a shirt. Get the hell out. So that's a true thing. Top 1%. You know what it's like? This started 21 episodes ago as a grassroots kind of thing. You know, 4 of us always went out on Thursday nights. You know, and if you go to a baseball game tonight, the Cardinals got their asses wore out. But if you go to a baseball game, 4 people stand up and they try to start a wave. They try to start a wave. And pretty soon it's a whole section. Then it's 3 sections. And then pretty soon it's the whole stadium. That's what we're doing. We're calling it the Blue Wave.
Yeah.
Started with us 4 knuckleheads. Now we're over 600,000 views. We're in 38 states, over 500 cities, every continent. We got a person in Singapore, right, Producer John?
Yep. I got it on my phone.
They moved to
anybody
St.
wants
Louis.
to call us
They
out.
moved to where?
St. Louis.
But we're holding on to Singapore. I don't give a shit. We're holding on to it. So, but anyway, the Blue Wave is going to be all across the country. And it's going to be people that support law enforcement, because it's okay to support law enforcement. We're good. And we do great things. And the media doesn't have time to tell us about it, so we're telling you about it. You with me, Tommy?
I'm down.
So now Barney, on his birthday, it's
56.
56-year-old birthday, he invites us to here to start the wave. Happy
Thanks,
birthday, Barney.
Barney.
Danny, that was a good analogy.
That was a good analogy.
It was very good. I like
The
it.
blue wave.
Yeah. that's
Danny
good.
can bullshit, dude. If there's a bullshitter, that's
why
Danny. We're
why-
all good, but Danny, you're tough.
That's why he's sitting in the middle.
I just
You're
stay,
the big.
stay
You're the
focused.
You're the big toe of the podcast.
Big fungus toe. Big funky toe. Jack, tell us how we're doing on the views now.
We're over 600,000 views across all the platforms. You know where to find us, baby. Come on now. Little YouTube action, little Twitter, Facebook, 600,000.
600.
How about the post yesterday with Danny's mom? That was
strong,
awesome.
Strong.
Well, it doesn't
was-
surprise me.
Right.
That she chose JJ?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Are you going over to Mrs. Howard's house for Easter this year?
Well, she invited me.
Okay, naturally.
Stay off the sidewalk.
Get you.
She'll get you. Hey, you know what? It's standing room only here at Barney's. And it reminds me of a story because I'm a well-read person.
That's what you are.
I'm very well-read. But do you know the chair itself, the Homo sapien, the man, we're over 100,000 thousands of years old. But the chair is only 5,000 years old. It was invented in 3200 BC. There's an argument between the Scots or some people over in Egypt that invented the chair. So those of you who are standing,
There's no argument.
suck it up. It's brand new, this chair
Can't be
thing.
an argument, dude. There's no argument with who made the chair, is there?
I think we should move on.
No, there was a debate.
Here we go.
We move on. It's interesting, Danny.
Well, who do you think it was, the Scots or was it the Egyptian guy?
I don't
Either way, the guy that invented the chair is our people.
Yes.
The guy that wanted to take a leisure.
The guy that invented the bed's even better, the couch. I'm down with the guy that invented the couch, the lazy boy.
So you leave here tonight smarter because you know who invented the chair. Actually, we don't. It was
We
either
don't
the
know.
Scots or
Right.
the
There's no
Egyptians.
argument.
So there's a little bit of a controversy
Yeah.
there. But Tommy, what's the brighter side of blue all about?
So it's our mission statement, and our mission statement is sponsored by Jeff Jensen and Hush Blackwell. And you guys have all heard this, or are the people that are familiar with our show. It's just about bringing to light, spotlighting some of the investigations that go on, some of the personalities that are involved in police work, because they're some of the greatest personalities that you run into. And we want to spotlight the good things. You know, not everybody agrees with everything that goes on. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter what company you're in. Nothing's perfect. But as far as the people in this business, they're just great people, or this profession. They're just great people. We just want to bring that to light. Keep politics out of it and keep the good police work stories in it.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so
No, seriously, on Monday, a New York City police officer, Jonathan Diller, was killed in the line of duty. And
Says it all.
His wake's today, and it's horrific. And it's made national news, which is a good thing. But I think we should have a moment of silence.
Yep.
let's do it. Ring that bell, producer John. He doesn't have a bell.
Ding.
Don't
Thank
hit
you.
this, don't hit the Spicoli thing.
Thank you.
So, we have a moment of silence for somebody that gave their life in the line of duty to to protect other people. And, me being on the job, I was on the job for 34 years, and I spent a lot of time biting my lip of what I've heard. But getting to my point, I had to bite my lip of the things I've heard of the people that are against law enforcement, which just blows my mind how anybody could be against. And then you hear these people from their pulpits saying, defund the police, defund the police. I've always had to sit there because I want to support my family. I can't go and get fired. JJ is still active, so he can't say this, but the rest of us, and we're going to speak for every law enforcement part of our blue wave and everybody that's active on the job right now, you can defund these nuts.
Damn right.
And you can buy a shirt over there that
And
says,
fund these nuts.
and then fund them. You fund these nuts by buying a shirt that say, defund these nuts.
Damn right.
That's the commercial for the merchandise.
There you go. And then we're also selling pizzas tonight. We're not selling them, but my daughter and her husband, as many of the people in here know, that having children in sports can be very, very expensive. And I'm looking right at Paula Cruz as I say that. I don't know how many.
Hey, I got some Girl Scout cookies I got to sell too.
But and Barney's, due to lack of employment, people who want a job, Barney unfortunately had to close his kitchen. But Randy, my daughter, and her husband Barkley are selling pizzas. I think there's stuff out there, and all the proceeds go to them. And putting there, my lovely granddaughter, she does the gymnastics. That is awesome. And my grandson Cole is a hockey player. And I'm looking at Paula again as she says, yeah, that costs a lot of money. So all the pizzas and Barkley on the side does pizzas, and he does frozen pizzas. So they volunteered to come here tonight and make sure you people keep fed, because I know starting at 5:30 is not a great time if you're not fed. And we tend to babble, just like I am right now.
Exactly. I thought you have to press a button to shock you.
Shut up.
But, Mama Howard was listener number one. Sitting in the front row right here is listener number two, Hannah Cruz.
Hannah Cruz,
Hannah Cruz.
one of our favorite listeners.
Thanks for coming,
Ran
Hannah.
into her. Thanks for coming, Hannah.
Hey, let's get past these moments of silence for the sacrifices, and let's get to a good place, a really good, peaceful place brought to you by JJ Zen.
Now, I had one all set to do. Kenny Lambert walked in, gave me this piece of paper, and said, "This is in my locker for all my years as a police officer." He said, "You don't have to read it today, but whenever you get one, you can read this. But I'm going to read it tonight." This is Kenny Lambert. So he wasn't the author, but he gave me this today.
So it sat in his locker for all the years?
What's that?
So it sat in his locker as a policeman for all these years?
Yes, he said it was in his locker as a policeman.
Yep.
And it says, "Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with their experience." Mark Twain.
Mark Twain.
My buddy.
You read it
Yeah.
again? No,
Yeah,
you good?
please. Yeah,
my
let's
buddy.
go with that again.
Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Mark Twain. Steve Dodge, I ain't gonna say nothing about this, but it's an inside joke. But Mark Twain said it, and this is sponsored by Ed Mesplay, who is he runs an insurance company that's called the American Republic Insurance. He's an expert in Medicare and healthcare. He's a great man. He needs, you don't need it, but he's doing well. If you have any questions with your Medicare or your healthcare, call Ed Mesplay at 636-240-8530.
Nice commercial, JJ.
Ed, thanks for sponsoring.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Hey, JJ,
Yes.
I found a note in my locker that said, "Get your shit out of here by 6 o'clock or we're throwing it in a dumpster."
I think Tom had
Signed
the same
Sawyer.
thing.
Signed Sawyer.
Sign Mark Twain.
John, do you have anything from newsroom.com over there?
No.
All right, thanks for coming.
So one thing real quick, Danny, is we got the unfortunate news yesterday morning. Johnny Burke, who is a legend in himself, he did 20-something years on the police department and went to AB. And we were fortunate enough when Johnny was battling pancreatic cancer to talk to him. And one of the things that Johnny's known for is his toughness. And when we interviewed him, yeah, I mean, you would have thought he was going to pass away, and it's been three months now.
Yeah.
So, you know, and our hearts and prayers go out to the Burke family and all of his friends. And Johnny had just a boatload of friends and people that really respected him. And it was a tough day yesterday. It was a sad day.
Very tough.
He's a big back stoppers guy, too.
Yep.
Yep.
And just to build on that a little bit, but our next on-location event will be at the Old 3rd District Police Station. And it's going to be neat because the structure's the same, still got the cells in it, still got the holdovers, the sergeant's room, and it's got a neat event area in where we used to, what was the garage. And so that's where we're going to have that. We're going to have it in honor of Johnny Burke.
Very good. Cool. Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Who was that? That had to be Bo.
That had to be.
That had to be Bo. I know that voice
Raise
anywhere.
a cup for Johnny Burke.
Yes.
Yep. Uh-oh, what, hold on a second. What's this? We're being sabotaged.
Uh-oh.
What the heck's going on here?
We got some listeners bringing us some
Oh,
food.
hold on a
Mr.
second.
Howard?
What's this?
Come on now.
What are these? Hold on a second. What is this?
This is a slab pie, which happens to be in a square.
Oh, that's BS, dude.
Uh-oh.
Hold
Come
a second.
on.
Hold
Right.
a
That is
second.
some BS.
Hold on a second.
This is some.
All
We
right,
got
hold on a second.
sabotaged
All
here.
right, thank you.
This is against me.
Thank you. Thank
This
you.
is a sabotage on me.
Okay.
It's an oblong
Thank you.
pie.
Okay, some listeners just brought us up. We were banned from talking about this anymore, and JJ hates talking about square pies, but it's clear. The recipe right here, it's a slab pie. They're rectangle, kind of rectangles, not squares, but they're definitely not round. And in the recipe, it actually says a 9x13 pan and an 18x13 pan.
To make a pie? No,
slab
to make
apple
slab pie. To
Hey.
make a slab pie.
Hey, the best part about it,
You can't just throw an adjective in front of it and change. It changes the whole meaning of it. That's a slab pie. It's not a pie.
Slab pie.
You
Slab.
call it a triangle pie and then just get some triangle pan.
Looks like dessert.
How much weed is in there?
Producer John, we were banned
Not
from
enough.
talking about this, but
I know.
can I get a judgment here?
Yes.
It's a slab pie.
It's a pie, right?
Not-
You put an ad. No, it's not a pie.
You can't add pie to it. Just a slab.
It's a slab pie.
The recipe says slab pie.
Right. Not pie.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Who thinks it's a pie?
See? Thought you got me. Didn't get me.
All right, let's move on.
I got you. I got
Right.
you. We're gonna eat some of this. I
No,
can tell
since
you
we're
that
at
right.
Barney's, I got a good Barney story.
Barney's.
Yeah, I got a Barney story. Well, first one is when we were here. What year was this? What year did you get promoted to lieutenant?
I think 96. I think.
So 96. So that we're going back to 1996, and Danny and I had been out. We went to the football game, and my wife was with us. And so you know when the Rams were in town, we started 10 in the morning at tailgate. Well, we're here at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and it's me and Danny and his brother Kenny, and the pool table was in that middle room there. And my wife was playing, this is where the PIF list came, and we'll talk about the PIF list. But
Okay.
so there's me and I wasn't even paying attention, but I look around. When I look, I see my wife walking away from a guy that apparently he had hit the cue ball or something. Well, he gave her the tongue out between the two fingers. I didn't know what was going on, so I just went over and I punched him right in the fucking face. So he goes down, and then his buddy did the right thing. His buddy came over right afterwards. He didn't know what was going on, and he busted a beer bottle right over my head.
Yes.
And then Kenny Howard's seen that, and then Kenny Howard jumps in, and he knocks that dude out. But then his other friend then cracks a beer bottle over Kenny's head. So there's a mess going on. And where were you?
Well, I was late, but to the thing. But no, I was heading that direction, and my lieutenant, Manny Delgado,
Knew you were
was
getting
he knew I was getting promoted. He was sitting up on the corner of the bar, and I came to run into the festivities, and he grabbed me, and he stood up and threw me out the front door. He goes, "You're up for promotion. We got this."
Yeah, you got promoted on that Wednesday.
And I got promoted. So and it messed up my streak, though, because
we did have
if I
it.
would have got involved and got suspended and promoted, that would have been every single promotion I
The
got.
peop-
I got suspended.
That's amazing. I don't think we've announced that on the podcast yet, but Danny's been suspended
At
at
every
every,
rank.
rank.
Yeah, yeah.
That's impressive.
That's
yeah.
inclusive.
It takes focus and dedication.
That is
You got
impressive,
to
dude.
be in there, and you got to stay focused.
That
If it
is
wasn't for
impressive.
Manny, he'd still be a sergeant.
Yeah,
Right.
if it wasn't for Manny Delgado,
Right.
I'd be a sergeant still.
Right.
How many
So-
promotions was that? 5?
5 promotions.
To add a little bit to the story, when the beer bottle, I mean, I was cut good. Blood was coming everywhere. Kenny was cut, and everybody's left. And I decided for some reason I wanted, and of course my wife didn't like what I did or how I was acting at the time. So we got in a little tiff after that, and I just bolted. And I end up at Joe Speece's house, who many of you heard through the podcast, Chief of Brentwood. And he opens the door, and he just, what the? So I go in, and the whole time I'm driving, you can just feel the blood just flowing down.
I'm getting my stomach's turning.
So when I get to Joe's house and I wipe off my face, it was literally like 4 little scratches that the beer bottle had come and made scratches on my forehead, and the adrenaline just kept the blood like a pro wrestler, like when they cut themselves. But I had like 4 good cuts. I was like, oh man, I'm pretty good. I get a page from Timmy Lockenick at the time. And he, it was, so I called him back, and it was Barney's phone. He goes, "Hey, were you in a fight up here?" I go, "No." I said, "Why you ask?" He goes, me and Tom Walsh got a call up here that you were assaulted. I go, "You guys got a radio call?" These guys never got a radio call in their lives. Lucky they were the ones that got this one. They called me and said, "Were you in a fight?" I go, "No." So everything was good. And Spieth always tells that story when I showed up with just complete bloody mess.
That's unbelievable. Your wife was mad about how you treated, but I also got this from your wife just before the show.
Yes.
A free haircut from Sports Clip.
Yep. She's
Go
on
ahead.
me hard, man.
Go ahead and give it a
She's
whirl.
on me hard.
Don't
dude.
do it.
I'm holding out. Huggy wanted me to go like 2 inches above the ear with one of those, like a good mold.
Who's Huggy?
Don't know.
Shit, nobody knows.
Can't tell.
He ain't here.
Maybe he is.
He might be here.
Does he even exist?
He exists.
I don't know. What do we got tonight?
So we got Vinny Stalin coming on as the officer of the
Officer of
show.
the week.
Yep. Well, we got him coming up in a little bit. And then the main round table, or I guess it's a square table here, but
Let's not get into that. Let's not even go there.
It's not a pie.
Because stupid people don't argue, Mark Twain said, or something like that.
right.
What did Mark say?
I don't know.
I like to argue a lot, so that says a lot about me. But anyway,
Never argue with
and then
stupid
the main story we're going to get on is a 6-day manhunt for a fellow by the name of Tory Miller that had the city on. It had us on edge. Every officer was ready to go, and then what was really interesting about that is Joe Cronin, who you guys heard from the last episode with DEA, was up on a tremendous wire with some of the detectives in the Central Patrol Bureau, and it was towards the end of that wire, and they had to end up giving up the wire, and to get the Tory Miller called the wire, and it was quite the chase afterwards. So that started to be our main story.
Tommy, is Mary Michelle in the building? She's one of our most active listeners and gives us advice, and we take it and we listen to it. And I promise that if she shows up, I'm going to buy her a shirt. If she's in here, that offer still stands.
She's the female huggy.
Yeah, she's
the
not giving
female
it up.
huggy, Mary
She's not
Michelle.
giving it up.
Yeah, she wouldn't do it. So let's get.
Hold on now.
Oh, you got
I
some
got
stuff?
one more Barney story.
Uh-oh.
So me and Barney are riding together. First time we ever rode together. We know each other. We're on different platoons. We're working overtime. And so Buck Carter was our lieutenant. And Buck put us in the 50 car, and then they had a ride along with us.
50 car is a 2-man car that doesn't answer radio calls.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
Mama Howard didn't know what a 50 car was.
I'm sorry. But
Good job.
there was a ride along also, and it was the Pikatowski's son. And his first name escapes me right now.
Pikatowski's sausage and
The famous Pikatowski's Polish place I think
Krakow?
it's at 20th and something or other.
yeah.
And it was in heart of the 5th District, and I used to go in there and drink coffee in the morning with several of the owners when it was one of their sons that wanted to do a ride along. And this particular day, he rode along with me and Barney. We got on at 3 o'clock or something. And part of the story is that they give us a car that Don Brown, who Barney now works for, it was a special car. It was a car that they were trying to pimp to get the police department to buy. So it wasn't equipped with any emergency lights or anything. So Buck said, whatever you guys do not get in a pursuit. So, okay. So a couple hours into our pursuit, we got this ride along with us, and we go to pull a car over. It won't pull over. Buck can obviously hear that we're in a pursuit because there's shit banging as we're trying to go through, and we're calling off intersections at a record pace. But he don't say nothing. Well, these guys end up crashing into a dumpster, and right before they do, they throw something out of the car. So me and Barney got the 2 guys right away, and we got them down, and we look at each other, we're like, where's the kid? We have no idea where he's at. And all of a sudden you hear, I got it. And he had climbed like a 10-foot fence, went over, and he's got the gun, and he's just waving the gun in the air. I got it. Well, so the next day I went to Piketowski's. They were not happy about this. And then their son ended up being a policeman. So that was kind of cool.
You know what you call that?
What?
Sausage pinch.
There you go, baby. There you go. And then never mind.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a good part.
So when we're searching the car, there was a cold 12-pack in there.
Oh.
Budweiser. So we had to move it from their car to our car. And then Buck comes up, obviously to give us, he was mad as you mother, I told you. Well, hey man, everything's okay. Nothing's hurt. He goes, what about the beer? Whose beer is that? I go, it was theirs. It's ours now. He goes, you think that's okay to tell me that? I go, I guess. I don't know. That's how the story went.
So you just seized the beer, right? Turned it in.
It turned into
I turned it in. I put it on that back patio and let the strangers take
put
it.
it in Mickey Regan's locker.
Right. That's a good way to make it disappear.
All right.
But going back to that PIF list,
Piff.
the punch in the fucking face list. Everybody has a personal PIF list, and it's ever changing, and it could be a relative. You just don't do it most of the time. Now I did it that time, but there's a couple politicians in there, there's a couple family members in there that every once in a while you just want to punch them right in the fucking face.
I know Danny's it's a chief. I won't say his name.
Yeah, we don't talk about politics or anything like that. We
Certain
don't-
chief. I think you'd like to punch.
But don't you agree with
we
you got a
don't go
PIF
there.
list, don't you, Danny?
I do, but I keep it to myself. And I
That's what I'm
work on
saying.
it,
It's a
and
personal PIF list.
I don't ever want to execute it.
There you go. He's retired. He's retired.
Yeah, I'm retired. Let's get Vinny Stalin up here.
I'm with you. Come on, Vinny.
Tell us your best practical joke, and you can go into tell us how you set
Well,
it
how
up
about
and
if
how you
I
execute.
start off with a lighter one, which
Okay.
a couple guys brought up. I didn't even remember it. So I had Lou Rizzuti as a sergeant. And at that time, Dave Bosler, who's a policeman, was a booking clerk. And we all hated him and screwed around with
Hey,
him all the time.
he listens to this podcast.
I know. That's
every
why I
time.
wanted to make sure I stressed that.
He's a good man.
So Dave, when he was a booking clerk, can you curse or no?
Sure.
Okay,
keep it
Dave,
light.
yeah. Dave was
My mom's listening.
notorious for taking his 10 a.m. shit on the day watch. So we kind of had that window of time. We knew he wasn't going to be booking somebody. So I saw the door to the restroom close, and I look back in the booking area, and I don't see him. So I'm thinking it's him. I'm like, all right, now's a good time to get him. So I open the door. I kind of look under the stall, and I see these pants down by some legs that I think are Dave's. So I take out my mace and shake it up and give it a shot of mace. And I go over and start washing my hands, and I hear, ah, God damn it, ah. And I look in the mirror, and the door opens, and it was Lou Rizzuti. His pants are down at his ankles, and he's coming out, like flushing his eyes out. And I ran
raised
out
your
of there because he
lieutenant?
couldn't see. He was trying to get to the sink. You know, it was like...
You did something similar to Mickey Regan.
Yeah, I was.
You threw a bag of firecrackers in there. He was on the stool. and
Oh,
you
that
threw
was
it-
that was as a civilian employee.
all right.
So the year before I got in the academy, are there any old guys that remember any of the turnkeys back in the day? So there was this little guy, Zaretsky, that was about this tall. And when he got on the toilet, you could tell because his feet were just swinging back and forth while he was sitting down. So I had a pocket of lady fingers. I just lit and threw under the door. And you could, he was an old Polish guy. You could hear, God damn it, God damn it. His feet are kicking like, looking like a little duck swinging back and forth. So, it was, probably learned some of them from the best. Like, we were lucky enough, I know you did, of experiencing those old stations.
Oh, yeah.
And just
Deer
the
Street.
camaraderie and just like getting to know people probably better than you do at these newer stations now. But those were the best.
Oh,
Absolutely.
100%.
Probably learned from one of the best, Butch Slayton, who was the ultimate
There you
prankster.
go. How about your, when you we had a sergeant in the academy. And as far as deafness goes, he was probably 80, 90% deaf.
Oh,
would you
at
say?
least.
He did not
At
wear
least.
any kind of aids of any sort.
No.
And any time.
Which we didn't know at the time,
Right.
right?
Well, any time this guy would turn his back to Vince would, and he was like a substitute, wasn't he? He didn't teach us all the time.
No, it was always after lunch.
Right.
And everybody was full and tired and half asleep anyway.
Right.
So
And-
he was the perfect candidate because, did you say his name?
Chapman was his name. I
Was
don't
it
know his
Bill?
first name. Rich.
Charles.
Rich.
Chapman. Rich Chapman. Go ahead.
I thought it was Charles Chapman.
The listener in Singapore doesn't give
Charlie.
a rat's ass what his first name
So
was.
he would get up there and everybody's just, nodding off. And he was the perfect candidate because we come to find out he's 90% deaf and he's just reading out of a manual. So I'm just bored as shit sitting in the back. And I could tell he was like, he couldn't hear something up close. So I guess it was you and Bubba Worm and a couple guys in the back. I just raised my hand up and he would always tap his ear. He'd always, yeah. And I go, hey, Sarge, I go, can I go? I go, my nuts are on fire. And he
couldn't
goes,
hear him.
He goes, yeah. I go, no. I go, my balls are on fire. And he goes, oh, okay, yep, yeah, go, yeah. And I mean, everybody's like, like looking around. And then once the cat was out of the bag that he couldn't hear, then it was just, everybody was popping off with these, and he just sit up there and touch his ear. Yeah, yep.
That's Rich Chapman.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember him now.
good guy.
All right, I cut you off. Finish your story.
Where was I?
No,
All right,
dude.
JJ?
I got nothing.
I'm high.
I thought you have.
So,
I thought you had. What's your favorite? His story with his.
Oh, my favorite one's the janitor when
That's
the
it. That's where I was
oh,
going.
Mark Johnson?
Is that what you're trying to?
So,
Marky Johnson.
Mark Johnson worked up in the chief's office for several years. So, just came up with this one evening, or it was actually during the day. So, in the old headquarters, the chief had his own bathroom, the assistant chief had his own bathroom, and there might have even been a third one up there. So, Mark was just great because you could get him all the time on anything. So, called down there, and I kind of used kind of like a East Coast kind of voice, and I was like, he's like, Command Post Johnson. And I go, hey, Johnson, this is McGrady over here in buildings. We're checking out this new piping system that we just put in, $1 million. And we're having some troubles over in your building there. I go, can you do me a favor and go in the Johns and flush each toilet 2 or 3 times? Let us look at the main board here to make sure it's working. And he goes, oh, okay, hold on a minute. So in the distance, you can just hear like, So Mark comes back, and in typical Mark fashion, great, like just completely naive. He goes, okay, I got them all. How's that? I go, 1 and 2 are looking good, but we're showing some blockage in 3. How about another double flush? So he walks away, and at this point, Henderson's the chief. He comes out and he's like, I'll try. He goes, Mark, what the hell are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I got somebody from buildings on the phone, and they're we're working through this new plumbing system. He goes, oh, okay. So Mark comes back to the phone. He goes, how was that one? I go, well, that one worked, but now number 2 looks like it's messed up. Can you go back? So he goes back to the second one, flushes it. So I'm thinking, this is going to go on forever. I got to just end this. So I figured I'll just completely blow him off. And he came back. He goes, okay. And I go, I think we can resolve all this with one thing. I go, I hate to ask you this, officer, but would you mind going in one of those and just taking a shit and flushing it? And And he goes, what? And he goes, oh man, you got me. So you could string him along forever, and then
That
at
was one of my
the
favorite
very
ones.
end.
The other one is the
He's got a Tommy Malachek
oh,
story.
probably
Malachek. How about the Malachek one when you got Malachek?
Can I just tell the Jim Mater story? Because
I don't know the one. That one.
Jimmy
Go
Mater,
ahead.
nobody ever knew who did it. He never knew who did it.
Till now.
But Jim Mater Sr. always, dressed perfect, had the chloroform shoes on. And I was using the bathroom, and I was just kind of getting my belt on everything, and I heard the door slam. So I just kind of leaned back a little bit, and I see these chloroform shoes sitting there, and all of a sudden his hand comes under the stall. And he goes, hey, brother, you got some paper? I'm out over here. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I just, it's just piling up in his hand. He goes, oh, that's enough. So he pulls his hand back under the door. I just keep pulling it out. I put my radio on it, and I'm trying to get everything on. So I get my radio and hold it. I pull out a lighter. I lit it and dropped it on the floor, and I went out to the sink. I'm looking in the mirror, washing my hands. I saw the flame go up under the door, and all of a sudden I hear, God damn it! And all of a sudden, Mater's jumping up and down, and these little fires are breaking up in the air like from the toilet paper. And I thought like the system was going to go off or anything. So I ran out the door. I go upstairs, and I'm just kind of hanging around. And he came upstairs, and Paul Kipp at the time was our desk man. He's like, Kipper, who the hell came up these steps? He's like, I don't know. He's like, bullshit, you're looking right down this thing. He goes, Jimmy, I wasn't paying attention. So he never knew who almost lit him on fire.
So Paul Kipp never snitched you out.
Well, I don't think he really knew. He was, not paying attention. And then there was always the Craven calls to the Gary Wiegert show.
Yeah.
But the best one was when Joe Moqua confronted me because...
Well, let's just set that up.
So Craven called Gary Wiegert show. Craven was the alternative lifestyle guy from the West End.
His full name was Craven Moorhead.
Right. So...
Okay.
Who owned a coffee house on Euclid called the Backdoor Inn.
Right.
Yes. Right.
Yes, that's the background. So yes.
Jack will be
now it
cutting
makes a
this
little
out.
bit more sense to everybody.
So Wiegert played along with this thing, and he goes, oh, we got Craven on, and he wants to promote this new coffee that that they just came up with at the store. And so I come on and doing the typical Craven voice, and I said I wanted to push our new product. It's the vanilla mocha. And I said, please let the chief know to come by, and it's on the house, but we want everybody in the West End to come take a sip of the vanilla mocha. And about 3 weeks later, I was in Buffa's having breakfast one morning, and I was sitting at a table, and I heard the door in the back slam shut, and I looked down, and all of a sudden I see him. I'm like, oh. And I was like, does he know? Does he not know? And he just real slick, just kind of talked to Mike for a little bit, came out, got his coffee, and then made just a direct line right to my table. He's like, good morning, how are you? I go, hey, Chief, how are you? He goes, care if I join you for breakfast? I go, no, sir. And he sat there. I'm just like, how fast can I get these freaking eggs down here? And he's like, this coffee's pretty good here. I go, yeah, that's why I come here a lot. He goes, have you ever had this vanilla mocha they're talking about? I was like, sir? He's like, you don't know anything about the vanilla mocha? I go, no, sir, I do not. I was like, I'm not going to cave in on this one.
Right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But how about the one you did now? Tom Malachek, who you guys all know, or
Yeah.
the listeners of the show know. Tom got bounced out of the several great jobs. When you say bounced out of a job, but you took care of him, put him as a detective, so still not answering radio calls. But anyway, Vinny sees Malachek roaming around the halls, so he's like, I got to do something to him. So what did you do to Malachek?
So we used an office in that short little hallway, and I kept, I'd see him, and he was trying to get reacclimated to everything and kind of looking around like a lost dog for a few days. So he's hanging around the back desk, and to kind of set the story up, you got to remember the movie L.A. Confidential. There was that part in there where the detectives went to the Night Owl Cafe for the Night Owl murders. So kind of remember that. So I page Malachek, and he's standing right back there, and Joyce Murphy pages him. He's like, who is it? And I was trying to do like the most over-the-top Italian, ridiculous voice,
Let's hear it.
So Malachek gets on the phone. He's like, and I'm looking at him right through the door. So I see him, and he's got his arms up like this, and he's like, his Malachek. And I go, hey, Detective Malachek, this is Tony Garboni. I own the auto parts store over here on Columbia. And the funny thing is, he acts like he knows everybody. And he goes, oh, yeah, how you doing, Tony?
He does.
You know? And I go, hey, I just want to know if you can maybe come over here and let me talk to you. I got a couple of my boys got some information on the Night Owl murders. And he goes, the Night Owl murders? I go, yeah. I go, they don't want to talk to you on the phone. They want to talk to you in person because I know from some guys up here, they told me you're the best detective on this department. And I shit you not, his arms were like this, and he gave a double take. He goes, where'd you hear that, Ed? And I go, the word's out. He goes, hey, thanks, Tony, I appreciate it. And I go, so come on by the shop. I'll have the boys come over, but we do everything verbally, nothing on the phone. And he goes, all right, I'll be over as soon as I can. So our office that we used, those thin walls were right next to the bureau. And within like 3 minutes, I hear Bob Dudley's voice go, are you effing kidding me? The Night Owl murders? And then all of a sudden the door opens and Dudley comes out. He goes, did you call this jackass telling him that you had information on the Night Owl murders? And I was like, yeah. He's like, he bought it, dude. He's coming back. He's like, hey, come on. We got to go over here. I got some good stuff. We got to look. Got some stuff to follow up on.
Oh, now that's a good one.
All right, now how about the best prank that was ever done to you? I heard there was a good one. You were on the other end of one.
There were two, but the best one was I was out of town in Colorado for my sister's wedding, and I think I had just gotten married. My wife always wanted to decorate for different things, and I'd always be like, nah, you know, I'm on a list. I can't be doing all. They're going to come get me one of these days. I mean, don't be putting stuff out there. So
They never came and got you.
No, they did this time. So we're out of town up in Colorado for about 5 days. So we come home. At the time, I lived right off of Sunshine in Morganford. And I'm coming up Morganford, and I can see as I'm getting close to the corner, and I'm like, oh, shit. I see this gigantic neon orange sign. So they had taken, like, those long industrial clear wraps that you would see on a stick this long, and they wrapped my house probably like 20 times tight with this wrap. I couldn't even open it.
Plastic wrap?
Plastic wrap. So my entire house was wrapped in plastic wrap, and then where the point of the house met above the front door was this gigantic neon orange sign that said that this house has been seized by the federal government for narcotic sales. So I pull up, I'm like, oh my God. And so, I mean, we're just getting home, you know, it was probably like midday, and I'm like, I had to, my neighbor behind me, I'm like, can I use your extension ladder? So I'm up on first I had to borrow I couldn't even get in my garage. I had to borrow a utility knife just to cut through all the clear wrap. So I got that where she could get in the house. So then I get the extension ladder, and I'm up there, and I'm walking over to the top, and I'm trying to get rid of this sign, and some older lady was walking her dog, and she's like looking at me, and she's like, hey, you can't do that. And I go, oh, no, it's okay. And she's like, no, that's been up there for 4 days. That house is being looked at. I go, ma'am, it's my house. This is a joke. And she's like, that's not a joke. You can't take that down. I'm like, that's coming down. It's coming down. I'm not. So that was the best one. You know?
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That cost them some money. That shrink wrap's not cheap.
Yeah, beside that, I mean, for a while, I had Andy Cruz, who's sitting up here. He was my neighbor across the street for several years. Were you there when they put that giant 10-foot clown on the roof wearing a bra? Came home one day, and there's like a 10-foot multicolored giant clown with a bra holding a weed eater. And they had it tied to the chimney, and it was kind of on an angle overlooking. I mean, they thought they got away with that one. But the ones who did it took a picture from across the street, and I could see the car number on the first district car was in the very corner. So I'm like, all right.
Note taken.
Yeah, so
All right.
it was good stuff.
That's pretty good. That's good. Well, thank you, and congratulations on being Officer of the Week. I
Thank
still
you.
think it's a
First
hoax.
one, is it? Or no?
No, you were Officer of the Month. No,
Apparently,
no,
you don't listen
Yeah, you're
to the
up to
podcast.
I'm catching up, guys. I'm
Well,
catching
you got
up.
some catching up to. You're like number 4.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Vinny. Vinny,
John Frank.
You know, sometimes I have to be the defense attorney on the show. And
Okay.
Vince wrote up one of the best search warrants I've ever been on or ever supervised in the 9th District. So
Those were good times.
Yeah.
First of all, you ruined his reputation.
John had just gotten
Tell that
promoted, and Tom Ziff Sr., what was that guy, like a Fed that were working in the Blue Mire or something like that?
yeah.
And so, yeah, I actually had never done a search warrant in my life, didn't even know what to do. So he said, call Bill Noonan. So I called Bill Noonan. I'm like, he was in Mobile at the time. I'm like, Bill, it's my first one. I mean, how do you do it? He goes, I got a guy for you. I can't use him anymore, but he's gold.
Informant.
Yeah.
Okay.
He went down there, worked the whole Blue Mire within about 10 days to 2 weeks.
Yep.
He goes, I got your house. And I'm like, okay, like I said, it was my first one. I'm like, okay, and then what? And they're like, okay, so we did it all, and yeah, it turned out those were the days before.
So you're defending him, John, that he did some police work.
Yeah,
He
but
did some
wrote the
police work, but I'm also kind of disturbed that all his pranks happened in the bathroom. I just don't remember seeing Vinny in the bathroom all the time. I think I use on the street.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Vince.
Good job, man.
Officer of the week.
Yes.
Welcome back, listeners, to part 2 of the Barney Sports Pub Extravaganza. What up? It's April Fool's, and as you can see, I'm Danny.
I'm JJ.
I'm Tommy.
And we're not at Barney's anymore. We're back in the studio. We didn't think that all the way through, Tommy. There was a sports bar with like 35 large screen TVs and a day Cardinal season opener, St. Louis Blues, and March Madness.
And beer.
And beer, and only like
Alcohol.
98% of the people were there to see us. The rest were there to actually watch sports. So, but we're keeping with the theme. The theme was the Central Patrol Detective Bureau.
Absolutely.
We are going to have some stories about that, and we still are.
Yep.
Have some boy, JJ, your wife Lisa killed it on the merch.
She did. And I want to thank Dolly, too. They sold $1,000 worth of merch. Dolly, she came through for us. I had the shirt I'm wearing right now. We didn't have, and she ordered up more shirts, and she did it within a day. I picked them up that day, so we got shirts these to sell there. It was awesome. Good work by Dolly. She's awesome.
Absolutely. We're going to keep with Dolly because she's local.
Yeah.
And then the first merch place we had is in Texas. And
Yeah.
blah, blah. We're going to keep this local. And if you guys need any of our merch, you can simply email us at The Brighter Side of Blue. Let us know what you want, and we'll get it to you. We won't email it to you.
Email an extra
But-
large shirt.
We will mail it to you or find a way to get it to you. So just hit us up on our The Brighter Side of Blue at gmail.com.
Hopefully,
Brighter Side of Blue.
Producer Jack, will there any crowd shots from Barney's? Were there some crowd shots?
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, he did? Because it was packed. It was unbelievable.
Great time.
It was good. And your daughter kept the group fed.
Absolutely. Her and her son Barkley, and as I told you guys in the show, they started doing homemade pizzas to help facilitate their kids' sports. As we know, it's very expensive. So I'll put it up. We'll put it up on the screen there for those of you that are watching the podcast, and they're available at Padstack Pizza on Facebook, and they sell different kind of pizzas. And my son-in-law Barkley makes his own sauce, and got a lot of compliments on the pizza.
Yeah, it smelled great.
They were.
I didn't get one piece.
Why not? Because they
I
got it
was
all
busy.
ate up.
I was podcasting.
All ate up.
No, I wasn't all ate up.
We
I was
took that break
podcasting.
and all hell broke loose.
Oh my God, we never recovered.
Yeah,
We never recovered.
it was
But
fun though.
It was so fun. Hey, producer John, you have a few shout outs for you brought some serious help.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Dave Mueller, which we call Postal Dave for many reasons, but mainly because he was a postman. But
It's crazy.
it was his PA system that we used that night, his personal system. So, and he's also donated some other items to the podcast. Our monitor speakers we use here in the studio and some other things. So, thank you, Dave. He's one of our most fervent listeners, and
He's good.
appreciate it. I really want to thank Kenny Cagle for coming out. He's a retired major, did 40 years.
One
on
of your
police-
mentors.
One of my mentors.
A lot of people's
and,
mentors.
Yeah.
And he was instrumental. He brought me to the bureau, and he was instrumental in a lot of things we talked about. But I think one time Joe Moqua told me that Kenny Cagle was the best policeman he ever worked with on the police
That's high
department.
compliment.
Heck
Yeah.
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 So
What a class act guy
yeah,
he
he's
is,
the
though.
classiest guy,
Great guy.
and doesn't have a bad word to say about anybody. But he was a great guy to work for, and he and I worked at Spire together for a couple of years too. So for Al Moore. So
Nice.
It was nice to see Kenny.
yeah.
It was.
Chief Mocha was a good detective too. I'd love to have him on the show sometime. I don't think he'd come though.
Hey, I think we,
we're going to ask
did
him.
we thank Barney?
Well,
Barney was a
if we
gracious
didn't,
host.
it's okay to do it again. It was his
Yeah.
birthday. Barney's birthday was the night of the show.
Yeah, and he was, he was very just bent over backwards. Anything we wanted to do, we moved that pool table,
Yeah.
did a lot of stuff.
Mostly me.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
That was.
But yeah, Barney, just great guy, and he actually reached out to us, and he wanted us to be there, and that means a lot to us. And thanks, Barney.
We had an undercover, covert fan sneak on premises of the live show.
Yes.
If it wasn't for your wife, boy,
that-
you can't come home late with some bullshit stories, can you? She's a quite the
She's
detective.
a great detective. Yeah.
How'd that go down?
Well, apparently Mary Michelle, who just she's huggy female for sure. Again,
Right.
she's just
Mysterious.
really
She's
mysterious
mysterious.
woman, man. She's really going after that. But she came in, and for some reason, Lisa asked her what her name was, and she goes, "I didn't ask anybody's name. Just asked her name," and she said Mary Michelle, and she goes, "Oh," and she knew who she was, of course, and asked her, told her that she loved the shirt she made up for JJ, and then she told her to go say hi to us. And although she tried, because the crowd was kind of hard to get there, the tables and the people were pretty crowded, so she said she just walked in and tried to get to the stage, just, like waved to us. I'm not sure she would even said hi. And then she looked at Lisa and waved to her and just left. Didn't, never did get to say hi to us. And I'm not sure she really wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think she really did.
Yeah, but I think I got a sketch artist, police sketch artist, going to go, and Lisa's going to describe her. So
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of
We're gonna
this.
put a wanted picture out on
Little one for
Facebook.
Mary Michelle. Plus, I owe her a shirt. If I want to honor my agreement, my promise. If she showed up, I
It
owe
was
her a
hard to
shirt.
get to the stage, though. There was only like
Yeah.
one lane to get there.
Yeah.
And if that thing was blocked, I could see where it was difficult to get to the stage.
but
'cause
was
I-
your heart really into it, though?
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
but
if you wanted to get there, you could have got there.
Right.
The Square Pies managed their way up
Yeah,
there.
they sure did.
And remember, Vinny took a minute, too. If I
Yeah,
couldn't-
we
if
couldn't
I
find
took him
Vinny.
and said we were screaming for
That was
him.
good. Mary Michelle, we will find you.
Yep.
We will find you, and I owe you a shirt, and that's all there is to it. Another couple listeners, I think they tend more towards producer John as their favorites, but Tony and Sally Mariani.
Yep.
Did you see what Sally bought us all? John,
That's
A new line?
Those are works of art.
can you believe this?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Sally.
John will be wearing these.
Now, are
think
we
that
going to
was-
Are we going to mass produce these things, John?
Yes. On a separate website, you guys made so much fun of my line that I'm going rogue and doing my own thing.
Now, or JJ's
The Zen shirt?
the
from-
Zen like JJ with his picture on there going to be on your site?
I think
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Hey, Sally, if you're listening, can you get the matching Lee cargo pants with 7 shorts and those little loops that hold
The
random
pockets, 7 pockets.
7 pockets,
Right.
7 pockets,
You
and
got to
the
have the
little
loops. Yeah.
the loop that holds hammers and such.
And then just put the socks in them
Put
Hey.
the socks in them.
for extra pair.
Hey, if you want.
extra pair of socks, just
Yeah.
dangling.
And if you buy the shorts and the socks, you get a JJ Zen shirt, but it's a
Tank top.
tank top. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, this is huge.
Hey.
Coming on nicely.
I can
just
bring
picturing
those to
somebody walking
Dolly,
down
and
the
she could put our logo on those.
Yeah, no.
I'm just picturing somebody walking down the street just like you described in the outfit you guys just described.
Wait a minute.
You got to get those wide New Balance, pure white, dirty as hell, half walking shoes, half
wide
lawn
for
cutting
stability.
shoes.
Wide for stability.
wise, and then you definitely use them for grass cutting because they got the green all over the side. You picking it up what I'm putting down?
Can you wear a headband with that too?
The white headband.
Yes.
This is it.
Hey, hang on a minute. I might have missed this part, but did you tell them that you actually wore those playing pickleball?
I did wear them, and I got made fun of, and I don't care because I'm a strong human, and I believe that I'm bringing these back. I pulled them up all the way up below my knee.
Anybody can do it. You can.
Yeah, I pulled it off. I played well that day. Yeah.
So the one story that Danny told me that I thought it was a neat story, but as we know, Danny's mom is, she's 93 years old, so she's got some physical issues, and tell the story, Danny. I like that story.
Well, I'm just so proud of her because she is strong, and she's a good patient. So she's got liver, kidney, and severe heart issues, congestive heart failure, and she's got some of the doctors saying that they've never seen certain things on valves that bad, and they really haven't tried this procedure. And my mom says, well, how are you going to get good at it if you don't practice? And she says, so practice on me. And so that's what they're doing. And I'm like, geez, Mom, that's pretty brave. You never know how you're going to be when you're on that time.
That could end up down the road helping the doctors out as far as another patient. So I think that's cool. And
They're not.
and that is how Danny's mom's lived her life, is helping others. And that is cool.
Yeah, so I'm proud of her.
That's just, I just thought that was cool.
But the way she said it, well, practice on me.
Right.
She's a special person.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was
As
cool.
long as she stays off the sidewalks, everybody's going to be fine.
She'll never forget that, John. You should be glad she's 93 with heart failure, because she's never going to forget the sidewalk joke.
I know.
I'm not going to let the doctors do that since I'm her favorite host.
Oh, that's right.
They ain't messing around.
That was
Then they
that was
experiment.
that was just an awesome.
They're not
little
going to
clip.
experiment on her. No way.
Boy, Vinny was funny. Stalin was funny.
One of the funniest ever.
Oh, my God, the practical
He's a
jokes.
character.
I didn't appreciate him trying to bring up some bogus-ass Officer of the Month award thing. Like,
right.
okay, Vinny, really? You're a practical joker. I think it wasn't even probably real.
Stick with what you're strong at.
But in keeping in line with the Central Patrol,
Yeah.
there were some pretty phenomenal stories that you had teed up.
Well, the first thing I want to talk about is, it was nice to see a lot of those guys out there that we worked with, and John and I were both in the Central Patrol Bureau. But I want to just talk about the makeup of the Central Patrol Bureau. It was like a lot of other bureaus when I came in there. I was like 27 years old. I got there a little bit before John. John was still a patrolman in Mobile, I believe, at the time when I went there. But it always had that, those bureaus always had that good makeup of the older guys, and then the middle guys that were been on, and then the younger guys. So I was one of the younger guys. And when you talk about some of that, Mike Barra and Jimmy Donaldson and Billy Ziff, and who else was there, John? I mean, those guys were like, they've been on for a while. So when you got into a sticky situation where you didn't know exactly how to do certain things, they were there for you. And then the other guys in the bureau during our era were just some flat up characters that were fun to be around, hard workers.
And talk about the old guys. Charlie Shine was there.
Charlie Shine.
Yeah.
And Charlie was crabby, but he knew how to handle it.
Oh, he took
every
care of
incident.
everybody.
Yep.
He took care of everybody. You need days off and stuff. Charlie was a guy to go
So
see.
Charlie Shine, when he left your bureau, he came to the 8th and was our cruiser driver.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and he was a. I don't want to get off the beaten track here, but you mentioned Charlie Shine. He was extremely crabby, extremely efficient, and he was an
but he was
old
good.
school
He was
efficient
awesome.
cruiser driver. You did not. You ever know the cruiser driver? You didn't have to call him. He could either hear the location you were going and has been there so many times he knew there could be an issue, or he heard your voice. Just a little uneasiness in your voice, started heading that way.
Yep.
You didn't have to call for Charlie Shine.
Any
He'd
good-
be there.
Yeah, or
That's
they
good.
just know that, that's one of those calls.
I'm on my way.
I
Yeah.
know somebody's getting
Somebody's
locked up
getting
for that.
locked up.
Sorry, but anyway, Charlie Shine. Shout out to Charlie Shine.
No, and all the sergeants involved, with Jay Cliffel and Abe Reddick, and then I got John as a sergeant after that, which was the start to a tremendous relationship we've had over the years. And then, like John Heffley was supposed to be there. He was one of my first
He'll be
partners. Tom Bottini. Tom was one of the middle guys. He wasn't an older guy, but he wasn't a younger guy. And he was my first partner, and I learned so much from him, and he helped me get in the bureau. So that was, and he was there.
Yeah,
all my
Barney
old
was
partner.
there.
Gurman, John Anderson, all the guys.
wow.
we were in the
I'm glad you
bureau with.
mentioned Gurman, because after the show, he came up to me and says, "Thanks a lot," because I didn't mention his name. He was my boss, and one that we're going to talk about, the Tory Miller.
Uh-huh.
He was the sergeant at the time. Down
Oh,
there.
And you
okay.
forgot to mention his name.
I did, man. He let me have it. So jokingly, he let me have it.
We're
But
cleaning it up.
That's
and
okay.
also, we need to clean up. People know what a cruiser driver is because
Good call.
in New York, the cruisers are their cars, but in
Okay,
St.
yeah.
Louis,
So our cruisers are the paddy wagons.
There you go.
The vans that
Transport.
transport prisoners.
people in Singapore are going to be confused.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's a great point, JJ. Thanks.
You got it.
But John, what do you do? I mean, did I describe the bureau pretty correctly, as far as you?
Yeah. What I liked about it, it was so easy to come there as a brand new detective sergeant because everybody worked so hard. Everybody knew what they were good at, and everybody worked well together. And it was just a great group of guys and gals, and it was a lot of fun too. And I don't think we ever went straight home from work either. At least on the afternoon watch, we used to have what we called the party cove behind the station, and every
Larry
night.
Plyman was one of those veterans.
And Larry was my go-to guy. You know, Larry and Mickey, and
Mickey, yep.
Larry could ride anything. You know, there wasn't any kind of
Who's your captain?
Well, Kenny was our lieutenant.
Okay.
They didn't have a captain. Colonel Pollahan was the colonel, and
That's right. Yeah, I got you. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, got you. I'm picking it up.
I liked our Thursday. So on Thursdays, nobody was off. And, you know, you'd work 8 to 4, and then the 4 to midnight crew would come in. Well, about 3:30, just about everybody was in the room, you know. And we'd all pull up chairs, and you just sit there and talk and laugh. And then I can remember one time one of the detectives had a victim in there with us, and it came in like Thursday at 3:30. So he had to, you know, as he sat the victim next to his thing, sat next to his desk, he was gonna talk to her, but he had to come to the back where we would all gather, and he'd tell everybody, "Hey, I got a victim in here." So, and then, you know, because there was F-bombs flying and stuff like that when you talk, and you never, you know, the stories would fly. So instead of just cleaning up our language and realizing that there was somebody in the room we all just shut up. Everybody just sat there like a little kid, like we couldn't talk. I always remember
That's
that.
respectful.
That's
for the
probably
victim.
best too. so.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's probably just better off everybody did shut up.
right.
But
Yeah.
no, those are some of the good memories of those days. Julie Furr,
yeah.
just some great people that I met and stayed in touch with over all the years.
Frank,
That's where we
Frank
met.
Bryant and Sean Dace
Right.
did a good job.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Shelley Stevens.
Newt was with it. So in my academy class, I want to say like 7 of us were in the bureau at the same time. It was Jerry Griffin, myself, Eddie Clay, McKelvey, Newt, who was Eric Pearson, Detzel, I say him. Who else? I mean, it was just my whole academy class was in there, so it was fun. It was a lot of fun for me. But that wraps up the bureau, so we'll go into now the Tory Miller manhunt. So Tory Miller was a 5th District gang member, and he was involved in everything you think a gang member would be involved in. So out in dope sales, a lot of guns, toting guns, flourishing guns, and he was in I believe they were in the Bloods. And Tory grew up in a house, couple houses up from what has been referred to on the show as Murder Mobile at Natural Bridge in Grand. And Tory grew up or frequented the house right up the street from there. So back in 2002, and Tory was always, anybody in the 5th District knew who Tory Miller was. Everybody. The detectives all knew who he was. He was just one of those dudes. Just a bad dude.
And how old was he? I can't remember.
I
Like
want to
20.
say he was like 20, 21 at the time.
Yeah.
She's a youngster.
So this is 2002. And so Tory, again, just a notorious gang member in the area. So on Halloween of 2002, at the Murder Mobile, Tory's girlfriend and another girl get into a verbal argument. Tory doesn't like what the other girl has said to his girlfriend, so he shoots him, kills her.
Shoots the gal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good for more than that murder. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
But like I said, it's always hard to tie these
right,
murders together
right.
with no witnesses and whatnot.
Right.
But there was plenty of witnesses at this one, at
Right.
the Murder Mobile, and they all came forward, said it was him. So as usual, you know, and that's not when the manhunt starts. That's just normal, you know.
Right.
And when I say normal, what I mean is that not everybody's looking for him. Homicide's looking for him. Homicide contacts like local detectives that ride the area, some police that ride the area, but not, you know, everybody in the city's not looking for him at that point. But later on, a couple days later, a 3rd District officer by the name of Robert Miller,
8th district officer.
3rd District.
Okay, he was in the 8th with me too. Go
Right.
ahead.
No. You might be thinking of the wrong Robert Miller.
Robert Miller, the big.
No.
muscular guy?
No. This Robert Miller is the older guy in the 8th District guy.
Yeah.
Right. That wasn't a different.
Okay, got you. All right.
Very good. So on Shenandoah, the 3800 block of Shenandoah. They go to pull over a stolen car. All hell breaks loose. Officer Miller turns the corner, and he gets lit up by a AK-47. Later in the investigation, they found out that was Tory Miller that was in that car.
Right.
So, and John, I'm going to kick it to you because when we were talking about this, you happened to be in Moqua's office when that happened. What did you hear from Moqua when that happened?
I've never seen Chief Moqua that incensed before. He just said, "We got to get this guy because he's gonna keep doing this," and he just mobilized the whole police department basically to go after Tory Miller because it was inevitable. And word on the street was that he wasn't going to stop shooting police officers.
Yep.
So literally everything else in the city pretty much was on hold, and everybody was directed to go out and find Torry.
Yeah,
Right.
didn't Chief Moqua call it one of the largest manhunts in our department's history?
Yeah, and that's what in Post-Dispatch, that's how they described it. So. And it was by design. We weren't going to sit back and let him come out and victimize any more policemen.
Got you.
So while they're on the manhunt, he calls a wire that was being done by Joe Cronin, but also involved in that wire and who was very instrumental in the whole wire going on was Detective Sweeney, Detective Regan, Dan Sweeney, Mickey Regan, and Brian Nager. They helped Cronin through this whole wire. And this wire had been going on for months, and they had uncovered all kinds of stuff, and it's been going over to Mexico and seized property.
Is it a drug wire?
Public corruption, yeah. They had all kinds. It was great. It's just a great wire. But anyway, Torry calls that wire on his phone, and he's talking more trash about I ain't gonna take a life, blah, 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 and I'll shoot it out with the police, whatever it takes. So now that it's just getting on edge. So DEA does a great job, and they start triangulating and whatever they did to track this Nextel phone he had. And back in those days, if you remember,
Oh yeah, those Nextels. You
those
squeeze them.
Nextel push-to-talks
Yeah.
were the dope dealers. They were because they wouldn't write wires for them, and they were very hard to communicate with
Yep.
on an investigative level. But DEA helped out, and they knew where his phone was. So when they had the information on his phone, so they have to cancel their wire because now they have to use that probable cause to get up on the other one. And once you release the probable cause, so they gave up their wire, which was
That's
cool
awesome.
of them.
Yep. The right thing to do.
I was hoping he went there.
So then now they needed to give the information. So they were given the information of where Torry went to intelligence, and then intelligence would in turn call mobile. And then what were you guys doing, JJ?
We were pretty much on call 24/7, and every time. And those wires the hits weren't exactly pinpoint like they are now. I think they were a couple 100 yards. We knew he was good for within that 100 yards. So Intel was working hard, so they kept giving us leads, and then we would follow the leads. And we actually got if you want to get all this, the van. I still don't know where we got this van.
It was like an Oats bus, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was weird. And we all loaded up on this bus, and we would go and drive around. And some of us had our cars, and we had the one night we got a call to an apartment complex up in North County, and I think Jimmy Long was driving. I found out later talking to JW, John Winter, that Jimmy was driving it, and the van they had was 5 quarts low on oil. So we're all heading up to this complex, and they had to get oil. They had to go get 5 quarts of oil. Jimmy Long had to put 5 quarts in the van or whatever and go up there. So we all got up there, and we thought we had him in a certain apartment. It was a weird kind of apartment. And JW, I'll tell the JW story. He was our sniper, one of our snipers. So he tells me this story, and I don't know how much is truthful about him climbing up a tree, but he said he got up in a tree and he was watching the house with his sniper rifle, his gear, his helmet, and everything, and he's watching the house for us. And then he said we've been going all day chasing this wire, and he said he was starving. So he sees an Emo's pizza driver delivering a pizza to one of the houses. He says he crawls out of the tree, goes up, and scares the living hell out of this driver because he's all geared up with a long rifle. And he's like, "Hey, man, you got any? I'm starving." And he goes, "Hey, I got you." And he gave him a pizza, breadsticks, and a soda. And he says, "What I owe you?" He says, "Man, this is on me, brother." So then
Emo's pitching in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they said, then we hit the one house we thought he was in, an apartment, and we later he wasn't there, and we finally later found out when we did catch him that he was there in the other apartment, and he said he was laying in his bed, and he was watching us hit that house. He knew we were looking for him, and he watched us hit the wrong house. So that was one of the stories. Now you want me to keep going on with the other one?
Sure.
So
I don't even know what the other one is, but go ahead.
no, how we finally got him.
Oh, yeah. Let me set that up.
Okay, good.
So, and then again, these mobiles following DEAs shooting out information. This information's flying all over the place.
From the wire.
Yeah, and from what they were getting from intel from his friends and everybody else. And when I tell you that every policeman was on edge, every policeman was on like the edge. Like, oh my God, what if I pull him over? Because obviously he had already displayed that he had no problem shooting it out with
And
the
he's on the
police.
wire saying it.
Yeah, can I say
Right.
one thing though?
Uh-huh.
And back then in 2002, it was rare for a bad guy to shoot at the police. I mean, it was just a bad idea all the way around. It happened, obviously, not like it happens now.
Yeah,
But,
right.
when we did search warrants, we realized early on in our search warrants, when we hit doors, that we yelled police because they were more unlikely to shoot at us if we were just hitting their door and doing those, no-knock warrants. Those I thought were dangerous because a dope dealer
Right.
thinks to another dope dealer is kicking in their door. So
Right.
we got shot at more often when we didn't announce police. So then we got to the habit of when we're doing a search warrant, we're going to yell police search warrant. So,
Right.
But yeah, but it wasn't as common for the bad guys to shoot at policemen and there was always those rogue ones like him and Stanzi and all those. But it was more uncommon. So when a guy shoots at the police, you're right. Everybody's on edge
They're
they're
because they've
different.
already displayed the fact that and then his background would lead you to believe
Right.
he's got no
He's
problem
cold-blooded.
doing this.
Yes, right.
Right.
He's a different character.
So now DEA has identified some committeeman, I think what it was, that was kind of like in the middle of it trying to broker some kind of a peaceful,
Right.
that the guy give up peacefully.
Yep.
And then the day before he actually got canceled, they thought they had worked out a deal that he was going to turn himself in at headquarters. He didn't show. He didn't show. So then, now it's okay. Now he's just messing with us. So that next day, somehow, some way, and I'm sure we'll find out one, but Mokwa gets a call from somebody, Chief Mokwa. Sorry for the just last name. That's how we communicate. But Chief Mokwa gets a call from somebody, and then he's at his auntie's house in the 1800 block of Malone.
Annie
Chief
Malone.
Annie Malone. What's that called?
Malone.
So you should.
You're
all
just
right.
cutting everything
You
short.
call everything's the last
Chief
name
Malone.
now.
Isn't Chief Malone.
So anyway, so he gets up there. He's up there with Lee Dobbins, who was the lieutenant of
Commander of
Mobile
SWAT.
at the time.
Yep.
And then you guys get up there, and then how does that go down when you guys get up there?
Well, we do a perimeter, obviously. So we get around the house and we sneak up and I know Jim Long and I were out on the one side and we're looking. There's basement windows, and so we start trying to announce ourselves. And Steve Dodge and I have different memories of this, but we realized we knew he was in the house, and then at one point we found out that he was in the basement, and we were actually talking through the windows at him to come out, show us your hands. He wouldn't do it. He was scared to come out. He thought, who knows what he thought. But then Jay Cliffel, Dan Early, and Steve Dodge, those three went down, and they cleared the upstairs, and they cleared the first floor and the second floor, and then they went to the basement, and they negotiated him to finally give up. So he finally gave up peacefully, but we weren't sure if he was going to try to shoot it out with it. I mean, he knew that the gig was up, and
Yeah.
he was desperate, so it was pretty intense. And then when we first heard him yell his name, when he first yelled in that basement, we're like, he really is here. And
You wanted to talk.
he did.
Hey, let's talk.
Oh, and Steve tells a funny story. He was dressing like a woman. He was getting around town dressing as a female. And when they got him out of the basement, his hat fell off, and he wanted his hat.
His female hat?
His female hat. and Jerome Cliffel said, "You ain't getting this effing hat." And then
Yeah.
they took him
Right.
away. But yeah.
Was it like a church lady hat?
I don't know.
Well, what I found interesting is when Mobile was anytime you guys would search for anybody that shot a police officer, tell them about that,
What do you mean?
about the overtime.
I have it written
Oh,
down. I was
well,
gonna say that's
you can
part of
say
the
it.
part of the police family. You know,
Well-
it's like tradition. if the department's looking for somebody that shot a policeman or hurt a policeman,
We did it on our time. We wouldn't put in overtime
wouldn't
for
put
it.
in overtime. And you guys worked, I don't know,
Oh, it's just-
18-hour
well,
days, 20-hour days.
Every once in a while we get canceled and we'd go back home and then like, hey, we think we got him, so we have to go back up there. And so it was a long day. We were finally glad to get him because it got to be kind of tedious after a while.
Yeah.
I got a little quick story about Tory being in jail.
Does he wear the female hat?
Not anymore. Not anymore. He doesn't want that back anymore.
But Tory was in jail with another guy that myself and Leo locked up by the name of Diallo Davidson, and he went by the name of Dabo. And so Tory Miller was either in solitary confinement because of the murder or because he did something stupid. But we were listening to prison phones, and it was Mark Biondolino, and we were in the most violent offenders unit. And I believe we had information that Dabo was trying, because he was also locked up for a murder, but that was going to trial. And I think we got information that he was trying to kill a witness. So we pulled all the phone records from the prison. And so Tory couldn't make a phone call, apparently. So Dabo calls Tory's mom on behalf of Tory. And Tory went by the name of Smooth.
Yeah.
So Dabo calls his mom answers, and he says, "Oh yeah, this is Dabo. I'm calling on behalf of Smooth. He can't make no phone calls, but he just wants to tell you he loves you." He said, "Oh, Smooth, tell Smooth I love him too." He said, "Hey, Smooth, your mama loves you." And then his mom starts crying, and she's like, "Oh." She says, "Tell Smooth his daddy died in a car wreck." And then, "Hey, your daddy died in a car wreck." She said, "Oh, what'd he say?" He said, "Damn."
What a way to find out.
That is a rough way. Nice reaction.
So Tory, that was the Tory Miller story, and
That's a good one.
Tory Miller's in jail for life. So.
Yep.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. So that was that one, and so yeah, that was a good story from the Central Patrol Bureau and many others throughout the city. I think everybody that was on at the time remembers that little manhunt, especially if you were a detective or in any of those specialized units.
Right.
Hey JJ, what little One Rock crack arrest did the entire mobile unit get their overtime money back for? All of a sudden they get
Everybody
a little
went
pinch.
out, yeah.
They got a dime bag of weed and they had 4,000 hours of overtime.
Yeah, we made it up.
No, the police family takes care of their own, and we know that.
But John Frank's got another Central Patrol story that involves him and Kenny Kegel that I always enjoyed, and so we'll kick it over to Producer John.
Yeah, this was a pretty good one. This was in July of '98. We started noticing some robberies on the Central West End, and and like a lot of these things happen, you get two or three of them, and you start seeing the descriptions are kind of the same, and the locations and the times. So we start to see a pattern. Well, then is like a lot of times it happens is they start getting closer together and more often and earlier. So we knew we had a robbery guy on a
Serial robber.
on a blitz up there. So we decided to put together an operation to try and catch this guy in the act. So we got the whole bureau, and we had two decoys out, Larry Plyman, and then we borrowed Melissa Leip from the 9th District because we wanted to have a couple out there, and to make it even more tantalizing, we put his arm in a sling, so it looked like he was injured, so to make him even a better target. So anyway, we planned out a route and have them walk, and we're just going to have them. It was a big square, and if they made it the whole route without anything happening, then we were just going to call it quits for that night. And this was the first time we tried it. So Larry and Melissa got let out up by like Euclid and Forest Park, and then they're going to walk down to Taylor and walk Taylor all the way up to McPherson, and then McPherson up to Euclid and back to where they started.
The robbery square.
the robbery square.
Beyond compare.
Well, that's a nice area.
Yeah,
Good victims there.
there are plenty of them. So anyway, by this time we probably had like 6 or 7 robberies in the books, and so we're on the covert channel and we're talking amongst ourselves, and everybody's reporting in. I'm here. Well, the last person to post up was Kenny and I. We were going to McPherson and Taylor, and so they just let Larry and Melissa out. They started their walk, and we were pulling in position up at McPherson and Taylor, and I made a left turn off of Taylor on McPherson, and there's 2 ladies, and there's a guy looking at them, and they're face to face on the sidewalk. And the first thing I noticed was that the gal had a to-go box, and it was on the ground, and all the food was laying on the ground, and these 2 ladies were just looking at this man, and their like jaws were open, they're just, and then all of a sudden look, and we could see the gun, and so Kenny just jumped out, and I went to turn around because it takes a second for that kind of just to sink in, and so I whipped around, and Kenny got out, and he approached, and all of a sudden the guy took off running, the suspect, and he ran back east on McPherson, and then made a right going south on Taylor. So I got the car turned around, and I thought for sure that there's a big apartment complex, like 3-story apartment complex there, and then there's an alley, and I thought for sure the guy was going to go for the alley. So I kind of went past him and Kenny and tried to get in front of him to block him from getting the alley. Well, the guy turned into the courtyard of the apartment complex. So I throw it back in reverse, and Kenny's chasing the guy through the courtyard, and this was a big, ornate, old, probably 100-year-old apartment building. Well, the door was locked, and this guy just backed up, and it was a plate glass window. It was like 75% of the door was this huge, thick window, and he just catapulted his body through this glass window.
Wow.
And he goes through it, and Kenny goes right behind him, and the guy still got the gun in his hand, and he runs up. It's a 3-story building, so he gets up to the 2nd landing, the 3rd landing. He's got nowhere to go, and luckily, when he got to the top, he dropped the gun and just laid face down. So I get up there, and we're trying to get him handcuffed. He's not really resisting arrest, but he's not completely compliant, and he's all sweaty. He's hard to get a hold of. So we get him handcuffed, and these ladies kind of look out the door, and they're all upset when we say, hey, we're the police, and so we get him. And this guy, his name was Larry Lee Coleman Bay, but he was probably in his 30s, been arrested many times. And he was just kind of a offbeat guy, and he's sitting there, and he's all cut up, from all these little cuts.
From jumping through the glass.
Glass.
That'll happen.
And so we're sitting there, and I'm like, we're gonna. Do you need an ambulance? He goes, what for? And I go, from all the cuts. He goes, I'm not cut. He goes, well, you just went through that window. He goes, I didn't jump through the no window. he denied everything. He's got blood streaming all over it, and he's like, no, I'm not cut. So
Okay.
So anyway, we get him, we get him handcuffed. So now, he's on his way. I think they called an ambulance, but I don't even think he wanted to go to the hospital. He did, like Tom, you were saying with the beer bottle thing. It's these little cuts that they're not really that serious, but they bleed a lot until you get them under control. So
Usually need a mirror to figure that out, though. Like me.
yeah, you go to Speece's house. So anyway, there was a car parked right at the corner. I think it was still running. It turned out to be a stolen car that he used to get up to the scene. It was stolen off of a lot of a used car lot somewhere. We had these 2 victims, these 2 ladies. Obviously, that we got the gun. We got their money back. We couldn't do anything about their food. That was gone. So we went back to the station, and we started trying to get a hold of victims and do lineups and that. And we did get a few people in that night. And that's the first time we met Jennifer Roy. She was the a prosecutor, a young prosecutor, and she was able to, even we got all the warrants issued, including some of the victims that couldn't make it, but she talked to them on the phone or whatever. But there was enough probable cause in that they could hold them at least on all these robberies. So that was really, a strong effort by her too. Instead of, TUing a lot of the stuff, they were able to issue it. So
She left and went to the U.S. Attorney's
U.S.
office.
Attorney's office. Yeah, still one of the best prosecutors I
Yeah.
ever met in my
But
life.
the best part of the story is yet to come.
Yeah, so we anyway, he got charged with 24 counts, everything from robbery, first armed criminal action, resisting arrest. The gun he had it was defaced. The stolen car, all these things. So he ended up taking it to trial, jury trial, and he got convicted on 10 of some of the counts that they threw out, but he got 30 plus years for this. So 2 years later, we start, Kenny and I and a couple, Larry Plyman got summonses for we're getting sued in federal court by Larry Lee Coleman Bay. So anyway, he's saying that we stole his clothes, that we stole his money, and we stole his car when we arrested him. Well, of course, the clothes were used in the identification of the robbery suspects. The money was the victim's money. And
car was stolen.
The car was the stolen car that we took. So it was the night before this trial starts. And
You guys are guilty.
Guilty,
then.
yeah. Did you plea?
yeah, well, we did take all his
What
stuff.
did he say that wasn't true?
You got a point.
Yeah. I was on his side. But I had to defend myself. But we were in the night before I went to the Majestic with Dickie Burgess and Randy Jackson was in there from Channel 5. He used to go in there all the time, and we kind of knew him. And he goes, "What do you guys got going on?" I said, "I got this trial starting tomorrow," and I'm telling him all this stuff. Well, he goes, "Well, this is a complete waste of time and taxpayer money and all that." So Randy ended up showing up with a cameraman the next day and in the courthouse and sat through the trial. So Larry Lee Coleman Bay is up there, and Mike Hughes was defending us from the circuit attorney or the city councilor's office.
Yeah.
And he goes, "So your name is Larry Lee Coleman Bay?" And he goes, "No, it's Sheik Larry Lee Coleman Bay," because he was a Moorish Science Temple guy. And that,
Is that a promotion?
yeah, I think it was a self-promotion.
Promoted himself.
Field promotion.
So he insisted on being called Sheikh Coleman Bay the rest of the trial. But
How'd it work out for him?
yeah, it was summary judgment. They threw it out. You know, Hughes let him put his case on, and then he the judge threw it out. And really, Larry and Kenny Cagle told me at Barney's that Larry sued him 2 more times after that. And what it was is Larry just he's
Sat in prison.
always in
prison.
prison.
Bored.
And the only person that showed up in court for him was his mom, and they got to spend 2 or 3 minutes together. And
Jeez.
But what a waste of time and money. I mean, why would that?
yeah.
Dude,
How can that
that's
get that
that's
far?
common for these prisoners is to sit in prison
It's
and
not-
then
it's
they
not
read these
it's not
law books
encouraging,
and they come
though.
up with and they just come up with reasons to sue people, so they'll just sue officers.
What a waste of time.
But even his attorney, when he lost, they were kind of laughing. He and his attorney, because they knew they didn't have a case, and
So he had an attorney for the lawsuit, or was it just him? Usually they do it like
yeah, he had
whatever they call, where you defend yourself or.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. No, he had an attorney, and he just
See, now the attorney should
Should've
get some
kicked
kind
that
of
out.
sanctioning.
They
Well,
should.
It should
Well,
never.
they-
It should
when-
never gotten that far.
when it got
That's
thrown
just-
out, they started laughing, and then the attorney, before they, the marshals or whoever took him away, said, "I'll see you on the next one, Larry," and
So it's a joke that they spent all that money.
Yeah, that's good.
But Randy ran a real nice.
Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson on Channel 5 ran a really good story about it. Didn't change anything, but it was interesting.
One of the things, and this has anything to do with the Central Patrol, but one of the things that we were at the event the other night, and we were going to talk about the riots, and we did talk about the riots a little bit. JJ obviously had a lot to do with that. He was down there, and when I say the riots, I'm talking about Ferguson.
Yeah, me
when
and
it all
Leishak
started.
were up there.
Yeah, and everybody was up there. If you were on the police department,
Give you a
you had
ride.
Huh?
I gave you a ride.
That's right.
But one of the things that we thought, we weren't right after the show. We all talked and we're like, we're not even putting that riot stuff in there because we need to do our own show on the riots, and we'll get to it when the time's right. But that was such a historical event, and it changed everything about policing
the whole
throughout
country.
the country.
It's different now.
I don't know anything good that's come from it. Can you guys name anything good that's come from that? Okay, and then and Danny joked about it at the beginning of the show was, defund the police came, was a spurred off of that with several other incidents, blah blah blah. But that was the incident that really kicked it all off, and it really changed everything. And the defunding, sometimes it has nothing to do with money, but it has to do with manpower. And sometimes when manpower goes down on police departments, they get hamstrung on everything they can do. The crime strategies they can come up with. Poor JJ's down to 10 officers.
It's an officer safety issue.
Right, and it's an officer safety issue. And we don't want to get too political. This is not political. This is just a statement of fact that these guys, that the defund the police movement was a complete, utter failure that everybody's trying to back away from now. And our shirts are kind of make fun of that.
Yeah, true.
And we're fine with making fun of stuff.
What do our shirts say?
Defund these nuts, but we crashed out the D, and we said fund these nuts, which is us.
Yeah.
And but I just wanted to say that because a lot of people heard me say that we were going to talk about the riots. We're going to give it its own show in due time, and we're going to have
In due time.
And we're going to have the people up here that can really talk about it, and JJ's one of them.
Yep.
Can I say one thing, and I'll probably get criticized for this? You said anything good come of it, and now I think policemen have body cameras now, and that's a big part of the reason why. And everybody was mad about the body cameras, and all the body cameras are not a good idea. And actually, I think it's actually helped now because they see now how they lie to us, how they fight us, and it's all on body cameras now. And I think you got to, as a policeman, you're more professional. Maybe you don't, that might be the worst word to say, but we've always been professional. But now we always were accused of things that we didn't do, and now these cameras.
That's a great point. I mean, we've always said that 99.9% of law enforcement are good people with
out
the
there
best
doing the right
intentions,
thing.
and now these things are actually showing it.
Right.
That's a good
live.
point, JJ. Is the body camera? I was always a fan of the body camera. I was thinking the same thing. Is that it would show more of what we deal with than it would thinking that these policemen are all out here mistreating people everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Danny said, that happens once every 10,000 times, which is at 99.9%, right?
But it gets played on the media like it's an every day, and it happens.
Yep. And that's really what our show's about, is to point out the human side of police officers. And I just wanted to get that off my chest.
What never surprises, what does surprise me now, though, and you'll see video that does, it makes national news when a policeman does something stupid on camera. And it's like, what were they thinking? I mean, how many times have we seen that? We're like, what was this guy thinking?
Oh, yeah.
He knows he's on camera, and he still isn't. They don't belong in police work when they're that stupid that do that kind of thing.
Yep. Nope. Even at times when we'll look at a video and say, God damn.
You deserve what you got coming.
Dude, good luck, dude.
Yeah.
See how that works for you.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, that is true.
Well, from a personal standpoint, I can see where that is the case, because being like the only really tall redheaded guy on the police department, I never got accused of anything that I didn't do, and I never got away with anything I did do, because you have 9 guys with brown hair and a mustache, and then you have a tall white redheaded guy.
Yeah.
I was either good for it or I wasn't. I couldn't say it was the other
You're
tall.
never good for anything, Johnny.
Well, that's kind of like Tom Walsh, who carried a red flashlight around.
No, never do that.
Yeah, and he's 6'4".
Yeah.
I don't want to say his weight; he'll get mad at me, but he's a big boy.
Yeah, don't say his weight, but his head weighs 96 pounds.
That's
a big head.
The good thing about Tom.
Hey, let's not make fun of Tommy. Let's talk about his head.
Well, just think about hey,
That's a big
Good
head.
Lord.
the good thing about that, though, we can talk about him because I know he doesn't know how to get on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, good.
No, but he got snitches.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does
do.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, never. I'm sorry, Tom. We're just joking.
That's good. Hey, Tommy. I'm not going there. I'm going with JJ and John. What's the over/under on how many? This is episode 21. How many episodes before Tommy gets a haircut because his wife's already barking?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Over/under.
We
5 more episodes.
We should do it on the air when it happens.
Yeah,
I
That
think
haircut happens
hey,
live.
if we
it
let-
happens, I vote it
come
doesn't
on now.
happen.
Hey, if we last a
Dude.
year, the year anniversary of our first show would be a good one.
Time
He-
to get your haircut.
I'll tell funny hair. Or, I don't know
and
if
he
it's
can,
funny.
he
but
can cut his hair for loves a lock or
So
locks
back
a
in the
lock.
day-
Yeah.
Right.
Back in the day, Tony Creamy, who we all know was
Yep.
battling cancer, and we had a fundraiser for him. And I had a lot of hair then too. I was in narcotics at the time, and well, back then I had it was tight. Like
Get a
getting
mullet.
old head, long hair is not all that good. But back in the day, I had good hair,
Yeah.
and so we're at the association. We're having the fundraiser. It's a great time. Everybody's rolling. So now it's like 11:30 at night, right? So then one guy goes and gets his hair cut, or takes, they pay him $200 or whatever to shave his head. He does it. So there's not a whole lot of people left. There's probably like 40, 50 people left. And I look around the room, and they're all policemen, basically. So I make the statement that I'll get my head shaved for $1,000. And I'm thinking, there's
Yeah.
no way. I'm looking at all these policemen. There ain't no way. And this is back in the day. This isn't
Right.
$1,000. Dude, they raised that in 4 minutes. And the next thing you know, I showed up to work the next day, and
Head shave.
and they didn't have no barber there. It was just, it might even been Bill McDonough just fucking shaving heads. And I had a patch here, a patch over there. I got home, my wife was mad.
Oh my God.
She don't like long hair, but she don't like
Bald
I got
head.
a lot of nicks and shit
Will
on
he
there.
make it to episode 30 with this hair?
Yes.
So 9 more episodes. You say yes, JJ, John?
I'm going all hat now. You'll never see me without a hat again.
All right. But what about the hair out and back, the mullet thing? You got?
That looks good, doesn't it?
It does
Got a little
look
flow
good.
to it.
I don't think you'll make the 30th episode.
I think you get it so we can put it in a ponytail. Now, that'd be
Nah, that's too long.
well.
Hey, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Producer John, you have everything from newsroom.com? Because you were sleeping at Barney's on newsroom.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just didn't want nothing to do with it.
He's been busy.
Yeah, well, it was a lot going on that night. And, I did have a story. I did have one, but it was, at the last minute, I said it wasn't worthy, and so I pitched it.
Okay.
But-
It wasn't a Kia Cuck duck?
I don't know if I'm ever going to have another
No,
Kia
that,
duck.
to me, that is just unbelievable.
I want to have my gut hurting.
Me too.
This one is from 100 years ago, April of 1924.
Wow.
It's concerning the Jimmy Hogan robbery case. Jimmy Hogan was a mobster. He's part of the infamous Hogan gang, which was led by his brother, Jelly Roll Hogan. The Hogans, back like most of these mobsters back then, there was all prohibition, illegal beer and
Gambling.
liquor and gambling, and they did. Apparently, these guys did a lot of. They robbed mail facilities too, but this case and the case was tried in Union, Missouri, because Jimmy was already tried on this case once and convicted, and it made it all the way up to the Missouri Supreme Court, and they granted him another trial. So. But Jelly Roll was pretty, Jelly Roll ended up doing 5 terms as a state representative and 4 as a state senator.
So he's a politician. Jelly Roll is
But he was also a
gangster.
and their father
Sounds
was
like today's politics.
Boom.
Boom.
Beep.
we're non-political, but anyway, their father, Edward Sr., was a captain on the St. Louis Police Department. And he had 4 other sons that were not criminals, but Jelly Roll and Jimmy took another path. And they were, this case that he was going to trial on, and they moved the case to Union, Missouri, because they were afraid that if they tried it again here, that they would either intimidate the jury or pay them off or whatever. So they moved it to Union, Missouri. The jury was 7 farmers and 5 townspeople.
They didn't know Jelly Roll.
They didn't know Jelly Roll.
Okay.
And I saw a picture of Jelly Roll, and he looks like a Jelly Roll. But anyway, Jimmy was accused of kidnapping and robbing a guy named Iris Pillow, who was a messenger for the North St. Louis Savings Trust. So Iris came out of the trust with these satchels, which they assumed was money. They pulled up in the car and threw a coat over his head and pulled him in the car and took off. But apparently the police had been kind of tipped off because there was a police car with a plainclothesman in it, and they were nearby. Well, they ended up getting in a chase, and up at I guess it was up at like around on Compton Avenue somewhere. They ran in. The bad guy's car ran into a coal delivery truck, and Iris was able to escape. He runs off, and these guys anyway. They caught Jimmy close by, but Iris identified Jimmy as the guy that kidnapped him. 5 weeks later, the Hogan gang shows up at Iris's house and says, tells him, you need to back off on this, and he says no, and they murder him right in his own front yard. So, anyway.
So this is the trial that's in Union right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Iris isn't there, for the trial, obviously,
Because he's dead.
He got erased. He got erased.
He's unavailable.
And then, so they get the second trial, and now the defense, Hogan's people, they bring in all these witnesses that weren't in the first trial, and they brought in this woman named Cora Wall, and she lived out in Wellston somewhere, and she testified because in this coat that they recovered at the scene, it had the initials JBH, well, Jimmy B. Hogan. And they were embroidered in this coat. Well, she testified that the coat was her husband's, that her husband was a gangster, and even though his name was Herbert Wall, he went by the name
Jimmy?
No, his name was Herbert Wall, but he went by the alias J.B. Hall, so that's why it was JBH.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
So anyway, that was their. So she testified that the coat belonged to her husband. Now, Herbert, something terrible happened to him in the interim. A few months before the trial, he was, and this is kind of neat. He was riding blind baggage on a train, which means I had to look this up, of course, but the baggage car was, usually on old school train, you had the engine, and then you had the tender car, and then there was the baggage car. And the baggage car didn't have usually a door on the front. So that's people would run up and jump on the train and go in the baggage car and steal stuff. And he was doing that, and he fell under the train and ran over by the train. So she said that's why she didn't testify in the first trial, is because her husband was still alive, and obviously he would not.
She was distraught.
Yeah, so anyway, she says it's her husband's coat. Well, the prosecutor was onto this, so he pulled because she was looking at the coat, said, yeah, this is my husband's, here's his initials. Well, he pulls out the pocket and turns it inside out, and it's got the tailor's name, and he said, made for Jimmy Hogan. So that blew her story out of the water.
Nice.
Matlock was around in 1924.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's a Matlock
That
move.
that is a
Matlock
strong move. Let her
right there,
talk.
baby.
Bury yourself.
Yeah. So
Come on now.
and like 2 or 3 other guys came in and said they were with Jimmy that day, and he didn't do it. No, but none of these people were around for the first trial. So obviously, the Hogans found these characters.
Found some witnesses.
I wonder if any Hogans are still alive. Jimmy's family, if they're
Well, their
Still
arch
there.
rivals were the Egan's Rats, which we've talked
Right,
about.
right.
I brought them up before Jimmy.
Okay.
But so anyway, Hogan actually took the stand in his own defense
How'd
this
that go?
time. Well, he said he was just happened to be standing in front of 3306 Rutger when this carload of plainclothesmen pulls down the street, driving like maniacs, and 5 of these police officers jump out, start shooting at him for no reason. He runs through a gangway and goes into an alley and goes up a few houses, and there's a woman back there in her backyard, like hanging laundry or something. So he grabs the lady and puts her between him and these policemen. So this is behind 3307 Rutger. So the prosecutor asked Hogan, said, you mean to say that you, and this is the quote from the prosecutor, You mean to say that you held a woman in front of you in the line of fire so you wouldn't get hit? He said, you bet I did. And he goes, I knew the police weren't going to shoot through the woman to get to me. So anyway, the jury ended up being deadlocked for 27 hours. Finally, the judge said, hey, you got to come up with a decision. So after 2 days, the judge discharged the jury because 9 people voted to convict and 3 voted to exonerate him. So Jimmy got off on it.
Jimmy and Jelly Roll are free, huh?
They're
Yeah.
free.
Wow.
So the Hogan gang, continued to sell their illegal beer and liquor. They expanded their endeavor in the South County, it says, and then Jelly Roll went on to serve his terms in politics. I did a lot of research, and I don't know what happened to Jimmy, but I'm assuming he just kind of faded away.
The
like
Hogans and the
Jelly.
Egans.
That's how
would be a
them
movie.
gangsters used to roll, though.
Yeah,
That
Jelly
was a typical gangster story right
yes,
there.
that is.
Jelly Roll lived to be 77. Died of natural causes.
Sounds like a Netflix.
That's crazy. That should be a Netflix.
Yeah.
The Hogans and the Egans.
You're gonna look it up. You're gonna start doing some.
I like
research on
gangster stuff.
Yeah, that's.
I
pretty
like
cool.
the New York
That was
Mafia.
a strong newsroom.com.
Not as funny as he usually is.
No, it's not.
The,
good.
the roll, just the name Jelly Roll's funny to me.
Yeah, Jelly Roll.
Yeah, I think going forward, my newsroom is going to be just something interesting. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's
You can. Yeah, that's up. It's your call. John.
sometimes it's
it's your world,
Yeah, sometimes it's
and also you're the boss.
You need to get
I'm
out of
the
that
boss.
basement a little more, though.
Yeah.
Looking all this stuff up.
well, it does. You start reading
down
this
that-
stuff, and then pretty soon it's 3 hours later,
Right.
and you're still reading.
Well, I know when we were talking about the Tory Miller case, and John got into newsroom.com on that. How many articles did he send us? It had to be 12.
Yeah.
It helped me win an argument with Steve Dodge.
Right. When he threw the address of
He had
arrest.
I knew he had the wrong address. He was adamant. He owes me.
He thought he
lunch.
got locked up by the Murder Mobile there.
Yes,
the,
he did.
The house up there.
And he was so wrong. And it's.
Is it wrong to keep calling it Murder Mobile?
I don't know.
It is a funny
It's
name, though.
appropriate.
We didn't invent it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
What do we got coming up next week, Tommy?
We
The
got
fountain of
several
knowledge.
people that that we have lined up. We've got some great shows lined up, by the way, but we don't want to get ahead of
don't give it
ourselves
away.
of who's coming up. But we do have our next event. Will be at the old 3rd District Police Station, and we're looking at May the 2nd, right?
Yep.
May the 2nd, we're going to have, and they don't have an open kitchen anymore, but we're going to have some barbecue out there and maybe have the pizzas back. Because back in the 3rd District, and the 3rd District's where I started, and in police work, wherever you started, it's kind of like, would you consider it your high school, right? You know, you're always down. You might go away from it, but you're always paying attention to it, and you're proud to say that that's where you
Yeah,
started.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You guys are both the 8th, right?
Deer Street. Yep.
Johnny, you're the 9th.
9th.
Yeah. So you always have that affinity to your home
Oh, yeah.
district, and it's neat that we're doing the 3rd. You got some good stories there, and
A lot more information on that to follow.
But May the 2nd, mark that down on your calendars. I'd love to have. We had such a great time at Barney's, and this one's even going to be better because I think we'll be more prepared. We're going to have some different guests. Rich Banahan has said he's going to be on. Have Bob Zambo on, talk a little bit about Johnny Burke. And then we're going to play Johnny Burke's
little pieces of
interview at the very end of that.
Beautiful.
So,
All right. Well, looking forward to that. A lot more information to come.
yo.
See Mary there too.
Mary Michelle,
Mary Michelle.
expose
Make it
yourself.
dead.
Show us
Come
who
on.
you are. Yeah.
So- and then one last.
Even if we don't, we'll have the sketch done by
Right.
May
We'll have
2nd.
this- and then I'll be out. Wanted poster be out.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I wanted to say, the old 3rd District, for all of our listeners, it's structurally the exact same as it was when we were all policemen there. They still have the same cells in there, the basement, the report rooms, the sergeant's room. So you can go. The desk is still the same.
Wow.
So
That's
it's
cool.
really neat. So we're going to be looking forward to that. It's just a little nostalgia along with an event. So be fun.
Yep. Should
Yep.
be fun. JJ, anything else?
Nope. Just that I talked to Snoy, Jim Long Sr., and Tim O'Brien. They were at the hockey game, fireman, policeman game. Told them about it. They're like, we were there. They are
Awesome.
excited.
That'd be a
They're
good
pumped.
crowd.
Yeah, they're both. What is
I
Timmy
don't-
from? I don't know if
he's-
Timmy's.
Maybe Timmy might not be.
I know Schnoid.
Timmy was a Fifth District guy.
Yeah, but he said he'd be. He said he'd be there though.
That'll be some good. There's some good stories about those guys, and those guys were in the 3rd district. Just for people, it's the largest district in the city with the most policemen. So the stories obviously are out there, and it's the home of the seahorses, baby. The home of the seahorses.
That's a good note
so
to end it on there.
You know there are going to be some seahorse stories. Come on now.
Episode 21, Brighter Side of Blue.
Down.
Peace.
Over. Peace.